All right, so just very quickly, thanks to everyone who's attending. We'll start the webinar now. I think that's enough time to get going. Welcome to RentPay's information session and webinar. Thank you for joining me to learn a bit more about RentPay and the new pricing that we're putting in place, as well as the new agent features that we have in place. What I think we'll do is, if you have any questions, pop them in the Q&A chat and we'll visit them at the end of the webinar session. I have a few questions that have been emailed to me ahead of time, so we'll go through them all at the end. But feel free to pop any questions in the Q&A and I will go through them one by one at the end of the session. So, what is RentPay and who am I? My name is Lavagna-Slater. I'm the General Manager of RentPay. And RentPay is part of the rent.com.au group, and we're listed on the stock exchange. Essentially, RentPay is a digital wallet that provides renters flexibility and choice on how they pay their rent, as well as agencies providing them accuracy, certainty, and simplicity on how they receive their funds and how they do the reconciliation and receipting. We service thousands of renters across Australia. We process about $4.27 million in rent each week, and we've just crossed over $300 million in rent paid to agencies across Australia since we started, which was about 3 years ago. What are we solving for renters? It's all about payment choice flexibility on how they pay their rent, on how they pay the utilities. So we have bill smoothing, which essentially allows renters to pay their utility bills in smaller increments. We have rewards and recognition. We have a lot of tips, tools, and features for renters to manage their rent budget and the timing of their payments through alerts, reminders, and notifications. We also have features that allow renters to improve their credit scores, which is really a nice feature for our renters, so that they can use their renting period to end up in a better position than when they started, so that they have the choice to either go and purchase a property or at least be in a position to purchase a property. For agents, what are we solving? We collect the rent from all your renters. It goes through our payment gateway and it's cleared, and we send over and deposit a single daily deposit of all rent into a trust account. This is accompanied by a pay file for easy reconciliation and receipting. And most importantly, the money that we transfer over is all cleared in full rent payments. So this is really important for reconciliation and receipting on the back end. We're compatible across all systems. So we have our largest agencies have a mixture of Property Me, Property Tree, Console. We are compatible with all the systems. And all of our agency partners have a dashboard for visibility of all their payments, their schedules, their upcoming payments, and the status of those payments. All of this is underpinned by an Australian-based customer service team that sits in Perth in our head office that services the whole of Australia. That's a really important tool for our agency partners, because we take on some of the inbound calls away from PMs on renters wanting to change how they pay, their schedule, wanting to increase their amount. We take away that call volume from the PMs, as well as answer technical questions from agents around training, pay files, and the likes. So the Australian-based customer service team starts at 6 a.m. Perth time and finishes at 5 p.m. Perth time and services the whole of Australia. Payments are incredibly important and exciting for us. So we have a wide range of ways tenants can pay their rent. Everything from Pay ID, direct debit, to Visa and MasterCard, to international wallets. Choice and flexibility is one of our key benefits and selling points for renters to use RentPay. We're also building in more functionality around payments. So we are actually in the process of building in PayPal into the payments platform, as well as integrating PayPal. And what's important for our agency partners is when we integrate the likes of PayPal and it goes live on our system, it's automatically live for all the renters who use RentPay. So agency partners keep up to date on the latest payment choices through RentPay. We see a number of changes in the way renters are paying their rent. So when they come onto the platform, generally they choose to pay via direct debit. So a large chunk of our renters start on direct debit. But when they start to see the benefits of using other payment choices, they migrate to the likes of PayID or credit cards. And we're seeing a strong take-up of our credit card offering, not only because you can earn frequent flyer miles and points for using your credit card to pay your rent, but we have undoubtedly the lowest credit card rate in the market at 0.99%. That's important for our renters, that they're getting a good deal and earning points for paying their rent. We have a host of tools and features built into RentPay that are renter friendly and help the renter, number one, get in a better position at the end of their tenancy, but also manage their schedule and their rent budget. Score Builder is our product to improve renters' credit score. That's available as an opt-in feature. Renters can choose to pay a little extra onto their rent through a buffer program that is paying $20 extra per week and building up a cushion and a buffer on their rent. Bill smoothing is the option for renters to pay the energy provider through smaller increments rather than pay it bi-monthly at a huge bill, so paying $10 or $15 or $20 in regular intervals to the energy provider, as well as having the option to earn frequent flyer miles by paying via credit cards or debit cards. And what we find is the more ways to pay, our features built into RentPay, our customer service team, renters who use RentPay generally have a lower market arrears rate or lower arrears rate than the market average. And we've done case studies with our largest agency partners that we reduce RentPay arrears by up to 50%, which is incredible for our agency partners. We have what I think is an industry-leading rewards program through our partner PayLab. So RentPay customers, RentPay renters can use our rewards program to earn cash discounts at 140 retailers across Australia, the likes of Coles, Woolworths, Flight Centre, BWS, and earn between 3 and 15% discount into their RentPay wallet. That, most importantly, can be used towards their next rent payment. So we're not trying to change behavior. We are already shopping at Coles and Woolworths, earning a 3% discount at those retailers, and putting that towards your next rent payment helps a little bit for our renters, especially with the cost of living crisis. I'll show you now a typical onboarding flow that a customer would go through. So a renter who gets invited from our agency partners, we've created them on the system. We've linked then their details to a property address. We have their rental amount, we have their frequency, and we've created them in the system. We've sent them an invite, and generally this is the user experience that they would go through. We've actually timed this, so it takes 2 minutes 30 to set up a brand new customer. They'll go through some verification and KYC and bank verification in the process, and that's to comply with our governance and reporting and regulatory requirements. So we know that tenant is linked to that address. We know their rent amount and their schedule. We know that they're going to pay over to X agency. They start to link a payment method. So we have to verify a bank account or a credit card. And how we do that, they put in their bank details. We drop a random amount of cents in their account. They verify that amount. And that's how we know that that bank account is linked to them. Once they've linked their payment, the bank account, they confirm their schedule. And they're away. They're set up on a schedule to pay the right amount on the right day to the right agent. And most importantly, we've put a reference, or whatever reference you would like to use. We've allocated that to the renter. So when they make that rent payment, it goes through to the pay file, who does the heavy lifting when you take it into your trust accounting system, and it's clearly referenced. So why is this important for you as an agency? Faster receiving, automatic alerts, more ways to pay, and rewards for renters. It all is a combination package that provides renters with choice and you with accuracy and certainty. And what we're starting to see is that 80% of our customer base comes from renters who onboard their agencies in bulk. But very encouragingly, we are seeing 20% of our user base coming off the street, which means they see an ad, they find out about RentPay, they download the app, they set themselves up, and we pay over to the agency without the agency signing a formal agreement to us. And we are seeing that 20% of our user base generally comes on to use the likes of credit cards or international wallets or the other payment options. But all of this really is to provide renters with a good experience, to reduce arrears, and for you to be on a payment platform that allows you to accurately, simply, and very fast accuracy, certainty, and simplicity in how you reconcile your payments and your collections. So if you had to imagine RentPay and what we do, typically on the left-hand side, you would have all your tenants paying via one payment method, either BPay or direct to trust. It would go through to your trust account. There would be dishonors, there would be clawbacks, and you would have multiple entries into your trust account. On the right-hand side, we have RentPay, who sits kind of in the middle of that. We offer different ways to pay for the renter. They choose how they want to pay. It goes through our payment gateway, and most importantly, we clear the funds. So all the dishonors sit between us and the renter. And once the funds are cleared, we pay over to the agency. Now, whatever payment method the tenant chooses will determine when we take that money from their account. So, for example, if the rent is due on a Wednesday and the tenant chooses or elects a direct debit, direct debits take 2 days to clear through our payment gateway. So we would deduct the renter's account on the Monday. It would take 2 days to clear to us. On the Wednesday, it clears. 5:30 on the Wednesday afternoon, we do a single daily batch file to you into your trust account. Then 4:30 Eastern Standard Time in the morning on the Thursday, the pay file is available for you to start receipting. If the tenant chooses BPay, we would take the money out on the Tuesday. It takes 1 day to clear, then the same process. 5:30 on the Wednesday, we would transfer it over to you. There are instant payment methods like credit cards and Pay ID that the tenant, if they choose to pay via those, they pay on the Wednesday, it clears instantly, and it's in your account 5:30 that afternoon. International wallets operate the same as direct debits. So we'll take it out on the Monday, it clears for 2 days, and then we pay it over to you. What's important is the money we pay over to our agency partners is all cleared, fully referenced payments. So there'll never be a dishonor or a clawback on your end. The clawbacks sit between, and the dishonors sit between ourselves and the tenant. So we'll know, say we take the money out on the Monday, we'll know on the Tuesday, midday-ish, that the tenant is dishonored or there's no money in their account and they've missed their payment. What we do is we send them alerts and reminders, and we give them the other ways to pay, which are instant payment choices. We'll also give them a call to catch up their payment. So if a tenant misses their payment, let's say on the Tuesday, we give them an alert and a reminder. We give them a call. They use a credit card or Pay ID to catch up the payment. it still clears and it's still in your account at 5:30 on the Wednesday. That's a real benefit and value add that RentPay provides to our agency partners. We spoke a little bit about this previously. We have a portal for our agents to manage their pay files, their tenants, their payments, to invite new tenants if they like. We're compatible with all systems. And our aim is to create efficiencies in your office, not only with reconciling and receipting, but we also take away inbound call volume from PMs and offices. To give you an example, in August, the call center and the customer service team here took over 2,700 inbound and outbound calls. Why is that important? That 2,700, if that agency wasn't using RentPay or those agencies weren't using RentPay, those 2,700 calls would have gone to each office to fix schedules, for rent increases, for utility bills, to change the ways to pay. We really take away that inbound call volume from PMs. And it's a big value add that we offer our agency partners. We are looking at a different pricing method, and we are moving towards transactional pricing. Previously, we had subscription-based pricing, and we've kept that as an option because some of our agency partners like it and want it. Maybe I'll start off with the option 2, where the agent subsidizes. This is where the agent pays $1.50 per month per user for all of their tenants, and the tenants get direct debit and pay ID, unlimited transactions in a month, and those are free. So we have agency partners who have elected to subsidize their rent roll to use RentPay, and it effectively becomes free for the tenant to use. We've also had agency partners ask for transaction pricing, where we don't have a subscription for either the tenant or the agent, and the tenant, whatever choice they elect or whatever payment method they've chosen, there are transaction fees attached to that. Number one, those transaction fees are really competitive. So we are very, very proud that we're offering a competitive pricing to renters for the different choices. And number two, critically important, we are offering a free way to pay. So a tenant can come on and sign up with RentPay and elect to use Pay ID and pay for free, and the agent will receive that money. Thirdly, what's most important is that free way to pay is an instant payment choice. So the tenant could come in and elect to pay their rent on the Wednesday, and the money will clear, and you, as the agent, would receive that on the Wednesday afternoon. We'll have to set up the transactional pricing. So once the agency agrees to use RentPay, we'll, in the background, set that up on the system. So the tenant will then choose which payment method they would like to use, as well as the transaction fees attached to each one of those. I would like to have a brief look at some of the new agent features that we've just released. These are features that our agency partners who currently work with us have told us that they want, and we've built them for them. So every agent who signs up with us gets an agent dashboard, and you'll see at the top there's the different tabs: pay files, tenants, payments, and sign up new tenants. So the pay files are the ABA file and the CSV file that get delivered every single day in the dashboard. They also get emailed to the person who's responsible for the trust accountant. That's the pay file tab. The tenants tab has a list of all the tenants, their status, whether they're created, invited, active, and all their details. In the payments tab, you can look at every single one of your tenants and view their transaction history, their upcoming payments, and the schedule, which is handy if there's any disputes or changes needed. But we have an invoicing feature that we've built into the agent dashboard. So if we went on to tenants and you clicked on view details, all the details of the tenant would come up. So you would have the tenant details, the rental details, the amount, the address. Then there's a section at the bottom that's looking at, there's three options there: payments, invoices, or rental adjustments. The payments would just detail all the payments the tenant has made. invoices would be how we load invoices and how we notify tenants. So the feedback was that we, as our agency partners, needed a capability to load up an invoice to a renter, and for the renter to easily click on and pay that invoice. So if we click on invoice the tenant, the amount, what is it for, and the due date pops up. You complete those 3 tabs and send invoice button. Once that happens, it comes through to the tenant's app. They have a look at the bill, they approve it, and they can pay it then and there. Generally, there's no sort of declining of the invoice, but potentially there could be an incorrect amount or something for the tenant. But what it allows the tenant to do is on the front end to very conveniently pay the bill instantly for water, for miscellaneous items, for whatever the invoice is for, and it pops up and they can choose whether to pay credit card, BPay, Pay ID, and they've got the suite of options to pay. Once you've done that, you'll be able to track all the invoices that you've sent. You've sent the notification, it's pending, it's paid, it's overdue, what it's for. You'll be able to track those invoices. Importantly, you'll also be able to amend the invoices. So if you've made an error or the amount has increased or decreased, you can amend that invoice. For the rental adjustments, you start off in the same spot under tenants. You're viewing the details. You click on view details. You would go then to the rental adjustment. And why this is really important, it's a convenient way for the agents to change the rent amount, but also for the tenant to adjust their schedule on the front end very, very easily. So you create the change. It comes up as what date would you like this effective? What is the new amount? What's the frequency? You send the rent change directly to the tenant. They look at the change that comes through via the notification. They accept it, and it automatically updates their funding schedule. So for us, that's important because every tenant should be on a schedule, and the updating of that schedule to the new amount happens in seconds. And then you'll be able to have a look at the status of that rental adjustment, whether it's overdue, accepted, notification sent, or updated. So tracking is very, very important for our agency partners. And these rental adjustments are, yes, for you, a way to adjust the rent quickly, but for the tenant, it's a way to really, without thinking, few clicks, adjust the rent and they're away, and to let you know that it's done via the dashboard. I spoke a little bit about this previously. One of the key selling points is our support that we offer our agency partners as well as our renters. So we have the Australian-based customer service team that manage all product queries, all renter queries, all agent queries. We do a lot of training. So these past 2 weeks, we've done a lot of training with our agency partners around the invoicing feature, the rental adjustment features, and getting feedback on what features we're going to build in the future, which some are already in the backlog. We provide a lot of onboarding materials for new tenants, for older tenants. We provide a lot of training and support, incentives, and technical support to our agency partners. And the best of all is, you can phone up our support team and speak to your account manager, and they are available and willing to support. As an added benefit, all of our agency partners have an upgraded listing on rent.com.au in the Finder Agent portal. Moving forward, after this webinar, I will send each one of you a copy of the slide deck. And really, it's quite simple and fast to set up agencies on RentPay. We have a payment services agreement, which is, there's no lock-in contracts with RentPay. The payment services agreement is essentially an outline of our services we are going to provide to our agency partners. Once that's signed, we set you up, we assist you with the onboarding of the tenants, we take on the onboarding of the tenants. So there's obviously a communication that you would send to your tenants saying that you partnered with RentPay. After that, we invite them We outbound call them. There's a journey that they go through. We really take on and champion that process of onboarding your tenants onto RentPay. We've just onboarded quite a large rent roll to RentPay, 1,000 tenants, and we onboarded 85%, 86% of their rent roll in 5 days, which was a new record for us. And it's clear evidence of the value that our support team provides to our agency partners. Once a tenant is set up on RentPay, it's as easy as starting to receive the pay files. And once a tenant makes a payment, the days to clear, 2 days, 1 day, or instantly, and you start receiving your pay files. It's as simple as that. In summary, we provide payment flexibility, rewards for renters, alerts, and more ways to pay. Is really a key selling point for renters. For agents, it's all about fast, accurate reconciling, receipting, lower arrears, and less chasing tenants. The reduced cost is also relying on our customer support team to take up some of that inbound call volume so that the businesses can focus on spending more time on growing their business. What I'll do now, I have a question in the Q&A. So we have a question around, does the invoice automatically link when entered into Property Tree, or do you have to add this manually? So what version 1 of the invoicing is, it's added manually. Version 2.0, we're going to look at more integration from our partners. So we are integrated into Property Tree. We're compatible with Property Me and Console. Version 2 of the invoicing is going to be automatically linking into those trust accounting systems. I have some questions that I hope I've answered through the chat. Can we edit the rental increases invoices once they're sent? Yes, you can. There's the edit function, and then it'll flow straight through to your tenants. Who are your largest agents? Just as an example, so we have partnerships. We have signed agreements with a few Ray White offices, Century 21, with the likes of Elders, Lang & Simmons, Warburton, Richardson & Wrench, and Grow & Co. are likes of the agencies we work with. But we pay over to hundreds of agencies across the country. How long does it take for funds to clear in our trust account? So went through this previously, but direct debit is 2 days, BPay is 1 day, credit cards and PayID is instant, and international wallets like Alipay, WeChat Pay, and Union Pay are 2 days to clear into our account. Once it's cleared, we pay it over to agents, and there's no dishonors and there's no clawbacks on the agent side. What's the average time to onboard a rent roll? So we have agency partners who do one of two things. They want to offer RentPay as a different way to pay or an option for their renters. So we invite all their renters, and those who join pay through RentPay. There's positives and negatives of that. There's positives is another option, flexibility for renters, but the downside is that the agency doesn't get the full benefit of using the pay file and being on one system. The second cohort kind of invites their whole rent roll, and it's their preferred payment choice, and we onboard close to 100% of the rent roll. And we, as a customer service team in our business, we move at the same pace that the agency wants to use. So if the agency is in a situation where they want to do it gradually by PM, by region, by portfolio, we work slowly and steadily. But the example of 2 weeks ago, the whole rent roll had to move across, and it was as quickly as possible. So 5 days, 86% of the entire rent roll of 1,000 was moved across and set up on a payment schedule. And we're busy in the process of onboarding the remainder. What calls do you regularly receive to the customer service team? Typical calls that we receive to the customer service team are around changing the type of payment or the choice of payment. So they want to move away from direct debit to credit card. They also want to change their address. They want to move with RentPay. They want to add in extra. They want to withdraw those extra funds. There's a whole bunch of renter queries around scheduling that we handle and we change on behalf of our agency partners. And we also receive calls from agents around, we need help with a rental adjustment or arrears or training or something along those lines, very technical. We also do a lot of outbound calling to renters to preempt certain things like arrears and the likes. I've got another question here. Do we add RentPay to our Xero file and receive the payment files? So what we do is we provide the payment files on the dashboard as well as email to you, and you can drag that into any of the systems. So it's an ABA file and it's banking grade and is compatible across all systems. We can, if there's a different system, we can look at it at putting together a bit of a training or a how-to guide on how PMs and trust accountants should work for the agency, but really we're compatible across all different systems. That's all the questions I have. If there aren't any other questions, feel free to put them up in the chat. I'm happy to continue the conversation outside of the webinar via email or call. I will be sending each one of you the pack, and I will be sending you some more information with my details so you can contact me. But one last question. What is Pay ID? So it's an instant payment method that you authorize from your internet banking that you can pay from your bank account to a Pay ID recipient. It's an instant payment method that the tenant is largely in control of that payment choice. I hope that answers your question. All right. If we don't have any other questions, as I said, I'm happy to have a conversation, post this, even a call to answer specific questions that you might have or a specific use case that you have for your agency. But I really think the value that RentPay offers our agency partners as well as our renters is industry leading. So thank you for your time, and I will be in touch.